Eagles secondary may have given up close to 500 passing yards to Aaron Rodgers on Thursday, but it came out of Lambeau Field with the all-important win, despite the fact it lost another 2 corners. And until the signing of Orlando Scandrick earlier this week, the Eagles had just 2 healthy corners on the roster. The question moving forward is, do they need help? Do they trade for a big blockbuster name, or have they got enough pieces to get by? And while the cornerbacks may be depleted, the safety position certainly isn't, and it's at that very spot we find the man keeping this secondary glued together with his bare hands. My name is Liam Jenkins, and welcome to another episode of Eagles Film Room. Before we get into today's video though guys, make sure you leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you enjoy this sort of content. We wouldn't be here without your support, and just wanted to say a massive thank you for 14,000 subscribers. It blows my mind knowing we've got a community as passionate as this one, and I promise this is only just the beginning. And don't forget to get your daily dose of Philadelphia sports coverage over at phillysportsnetwork.com for content from myself and all of our sports writers. Now, just before we get to the player in question, there's something I wanted to bring up, and that is for those of you who've been around here for a little while. We ran a series over the summer called Eagles Film Roulette, and one episode it landed on safety Rodney McCloud, and those first 3 games of 2018 were so impressive. I said that if the Eagles get a player even half as productive as Rodney McCloud, they may have one of the better safety tandems in the league, and would you believe it, it's come to fruition with the man who tore his MCL in 2018 losing a massive contract payday, balling out. McCloud leads the way in terms of tackles for this team with 22 on the season so far, along with 2 passes defense, but 9 of those tackles came against the Green Bay Packers in a game which I consider to be one of his best as a Philadelphia Eagle to date, and that's what we're going to break down here today. What I found fascinating about this game in particular was that McCloud was used pretty much all over the field. He was manned up outside, he was used in the box, he was used as a free safety over the top. The Eagles secondary is weak, and we know that, and when I say that Rodney McCloud was a key point in keeping it together, I really do mean it. The man played just about everywhere, and just take a look at how impressive he is here against Davante Adams. You can see him playing centre field in the end zone, the Packers driving down in the first quarter. He's keeping his eyes firmly on star receiver Davante Adams, who has been burning this secondary alive. He motions to the other side of the field, and there's a lot of communication here. Malcolm Jenkins sends Rasul Douglas up, Avonte Maddox does the same to Sidney Jones the other side, and this is where things get interesting, because Adams comes back across the formation, and he's going to have 2 lead blockers in the way of wide receivers, but obviously you've got Aaron Jones coming the other way. Now, if Rodney McCloud makes a bad decision here, there is a gaping hole. It's one-on-one matchups throughout, and it should be a Jones touchdown. But what we see is McCloud storm down into the front side pursuit and make an astonishing tackle on Davante Adams, and it's a gap that should have really been filled by Nigel Bradden, but he was taken up by a blocker. But McCloud's speed and play recognition enabled a big time tackle there. From one end of the game to the other, what about this? The Packers' last drive down the field into enemy territory. They're going to run a pick play here. Rodney McCloud is lined up over the slot cornerback as a safety playing down inside the box, but he's got to keep his eyes peeled because the running back is going to come out, and the idea for the Packers is if it is man coverage, Cloud is going to take up Jimmy Graham responsibilities, and Rasul Douglas of course dragged inside of the field due to the in-breaking route. But at this point, if he comes down, the pick plays worked, and he's going to run straight into traffic, and it is open season for Aaron Jones, but he runs around it. He snuffs it out a mile away, comes around the back of Rasul Douglas and makes a great and very pivotal tackle against the Packers in a clutch situation. But he was making these reads all game long. This one came a little earlier, nothing too fancy, it's standard zone coverage, but he comes down, makes a nice hit. The Eagles boxed in Davante Adams really well, but it's McCloud who has the finishing touch, and you just see it from this angle. It's so fun to watch those hips in transition, to watch how he keeps his head up, he's constantly moving his body, and his burst to the ball, his click and close is just unbelievable. You would not believe he tore his MCL 1 year ago, and talking of downhill angles, you don't get much better than this. A little screen pass to Aaron Jones, Zach Brown gets obliterated out of the play, and McCloud has to come down. There is a wide open hole, he sees Aaron Jones running, but instead of pouncing and coming straight down sporadically, he fills the hole and tries to filter him inside towards Andrew Sendejo. But not only does he do that, but he's able to wrap around the running back and bring him down again. He was a nightmare for Aaron Jones all night long. And then you've got a situation like this. It's the second quarter, the Packers are up, 2nd and 12, ball on their own 22-yard line. So you can see what the Eagles are rolling with here. It looks like a cover 2, or does it? Because what we're going to see is another example of a pick play from the Packers, but this time the Eagles motion Malcolm Jenkins inside as if he's going to blitz, and if they do that, McCloud has to come down and account for that slot receiver. And look at the acceleration to come down and make that tackle as the ball is thrown. That is almost superhuman again for a player that is coming off a torn MCL. Fantastic hustle down to the ball that allows Malcolm Jenkins to be that aggressive. Here's an instance where the Packers are down a score inside the red zone, an area where Rodney McCloud has been thunderous all season long, and this is a run play, but it's the patience I want to look at here. We know he doesn't mind getting his hands dirty and rolling up his sleeves, but the patience he approaches this with, instead of just lunging and making a bad call, it really is impressive. This is an RPO, and McCloud keeps his head up, he keeps jolting his feet around, he's not going to commit either way, and then when he knows the play, comes down and just securely makes a tackle. Of the 9 tackles he had, he didn't miss a single one against the Green Bay Packers. It was just phenomenal. Look at him, he's just a brick wall, standing there absorbing anything coming his way. This really is a guy that is holding the secondary upright right now. They may be conceding plenty of yards underneath, but they're not finding the end zone because of plays like this. Now this one he doesn't make a tackle, but the Packers on that final drive are going to run a variation of a smash route. It almost looks like it could be a double China 7 or any kind of high-low smash that you want to look at, but essentially 2 in-breaking routes, 2 corners, and McCloud is ideally responsible for the corner route on his side of the field. But obviously things develop very rapidly in an NFL play, and McCloud has to be ready to adjust and adapt to what the defense gives him. They've got 3 safeties out there, Sendejo and Cyprian all to the right-hand side. The weak side, it's a 3-receiver formation, and with Avonte Maddox taking coverage on the first corner route, it leaves Rodney McCloud to come over the top of the second one. And if he's not there, if he makes a bad call, that is a wide open play, and it should be a huge first down for the Green Bay Packers. Instead, Rodgers forced to scramble, and he looks for it as well. You can see him eyeing up the field. Even when he scrambles, he even goes to throw it, pulls it back in because he can see McCloud over the top, knowing there is no way that ball's going to land, even for someone as supremely talented as himself, and he takes a conservative slide instead. Great bit of coverage there by Rodney McCloud, who, unlike Andrew Sendejo, is far more reliable in those situations. Here's another example where he takes away the deep pass. You can see him here eyeing up that slot receiver, and he has to come down and break on top of it, and Aaron Rodgers is looking his way, so he follows the eyes of the quarterback, and he does it just long enough for the pressure to get home. That's what happens when you can take away a first read. It just doesn't happen this often, especially due to the cornerbacks. But my favourite play all game, in the red zone, he's outside at corner against Jimmy Graham, who is 6'7". It is mismatch heaven. It should be a fade route all day long. The Packers lined up like they're going to run, but you have to be wary of the pass. Do they take advantage? They do, and you can see Graham bullying all the way down, but McCloud gets his hand in there. He doesn't want to challenge the catch point. He wants to challenge the body radius to punch that ball out, and he does a brilliant job. It is a fantastic play by number 23, who is rapidly becoming the heart and soul of a secondary that is falling apart around him. You just can't write about how impactful Rodney McCloud has been through the opening 4 games of the season, but this for me sums up everything you need to know. I've been so tempted to pull the trigger on a film room before, but I wanted to wait until that defining moment, and that for me was it right there. You can even argue this is one as well where he's able to come down and force the incompletion on Aaron Rodgers, but to put it simply, Rodney McCloud has been keeping the Eagles in games. Yes, the secondary may be giving up a tremendous amount of yardage, and yes, it may be a struggle to watch at times in terms of cornerback, but if it had not been for Rodney McCloud playing outside, inside, over the top, in the box, practically wherever Jim Schwartz imagined, the Eagles would not have beat the Green Bay Packers, and I'm 100% certain of that. He deserves a lot of credit for that win. For me, he has been the team's most valuable player through the opening 4 games, and I would love to know what you guys think. Let me know, has this changed your opinion on the Eagles secondary, or maybe just reconsider the Jalen Ramsey trade ammunition? Could Rodney McCloud playing everywhere be the band-aid that this secondary so badly needs? Let me know in the comments down below, guys. From myself, Liam Jenkins, you can follow me on Twitter at LiamJenkinsPSN. Thank you so much for all of your support over the last few years. Again, I'm going to be away for the next few days, bringing you guys Flyers coverage. I'm going to be in Prague covering the Philadelphia Flyers season opener, so that's going to be a lot of fun, but there may be a slight downtick in Eagles coverage while I'm away doing that. So please stick around for that. I hope you will join me for the coverage. There will be live streams. There may even be another film reading while I'm out there. But thank you so much for 14,000 subscribers. I'll see you on the next video very soon.